The dimly lit restaurant buzzed with laughter and clinking glasses, but at one corner table, tension thickened like smoke. A millionaire dressed in a tailored suit leaned forward, his eyes cold and sharp as a blade. His wife, 8 months pregnant, flinched at his words, her trembling hands clutching her belly as if shielding her child from his venom. Then, in a shocking flash of rage, he shoved her so hard she crashed to the floor, gasps echoing around the room. No one knew what would come next, but she had a secret weapon. A mother who wasn't just protective. She was a judge. Sophia always believed in fairy tales, at least until reality shattered her illusions. 3 years ago, when she met Adrian Blackwell, life seemed perfect. He was charming, wealthy beyond imagination, and whispered promises of forever in her ear. Adrian wasn't just a man. He was a dream draped in Armani and crowned with success. Their wedding was the talk of the city, a lavish affair that painted love in every color imaginable. But the colors began to fade the moment the honeymoon ended. Adrian changed like seasons flipping overnight. The sweet man she adored became a storm, unpredictable and fierce. It started with cutting remarks, his words slicing deeper than any blade. Then came control. Over her friends, her choices, her laughter. "You're mine," he'd say, a sinister smile curling on his lips. And like most women trapped in toxic love, Sophia convinced herself it would get better, that he still loved her, that maybe it was her fault. Then she got pregnant. She thought the baby would fix everything. Instead, it lit a fire in Adrian she couldn't extinguish. He saw her growing belly as an inconvenience, a disruption to his perfect, image-obsessed life. Every doctor's visit, every baby purchase became an argument. Sophia stopped calling her mother, the one person who would have stormed in and saved her, because her mother wasn't just any woman. She was Judge Eleanor Hayes, a woman feared in the courtroom and revered outside it. Sophia didn't want to disappoint her, didn't want her mother to know she had made the biggest mistake of her life. That night at the restaurant was supposed to be a peace offering. Sophia booked his favorite table, dressed in a flowing blue gown to hide the weight she carried, hoping for a smile, a flicker of the man she once loved. But Adrian walked in with darkness etched on his face. He barely looked at her before ordering the most expensive wine. She tried to talk, to soften his mood, but every word from her mouth seemed to stoke his anger. "You've ruined me," he hissed, his voice low but lethal. "Look at you. You're huge. Do you think anyone wants a man with a fat wife parading around?" Tears welled in her eyes, but she swallowed them, gripping her belly as if her baby could absorb the hurt. She whispered, "Please, not here. People are watching." And then it happened. He stood, towering over her, and with a single shove, sent her sprawling to the marble floor. The restaurant froze. Glasses clinked to silence. A collective gasp hung in the air like a scream that wouldn't end. Sophia lay there, breathless, pain shooting through her body, not just from the fall, but from the crushing weight of betrayal. And then she saw him, his face pale with shock, not from guilt, but from the realization of what the witnesses had seen. Cameras clicked. Phones recorded. The man who lived for reputation had just destroyed it in one violent moment. What Adrian didn't know was that this single act had sealed his fate. And the person who would decide his punishment was the woman he least expected. Sophia's mother, the iron-willed judge who believed justice wasn't just a word. It was a promise. Sophia woke up in a hospital bed, the sterile scent of antiseptic stinging her senses. For a moment, she couldn't remember where she was or why her stomach throbbed with a dull ache. Then the memories slammed into her. The restaurant, the shove, the horrified faces. Her hands flew to her belly. Relief washed over her when she felt a faint kick, her baby's small assurance that they were still fighting. Tears spilled down her cheeks, but this time they weren't just tears of fear. They were tears of rage. The door creaked open, and in walked a woman whose presence could silence any room. Judge Eleanor Hayes wasn't just Sophia's mother, she was a force of nature. Her eyes, sharp and unwavering, scanned her daughter from head to toe before softening, just a fraction. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked, her voice low, trembling with contained fury. Sophia broke then, sobbing into her mother's arms, words tumbling out between gasps. Everything, every insult, every bruise, every broken piece of herself came pouring out. Eleanor listened, her jaw tightening with each detail until her silence became louder than any scream. When Sophia finally finished, Eleanor stood. "He thinks he's untouchable because he has money," she said, her tone colder than ice. "He's about to learn what real power looks like." There was no hesitation, no pause for comfort. Eleanor walked out with her phone in hand, her heels clicking like a war drum. The Queen was going to war. Meanwhile, Adrian sat in his penthouse, pacing like a caged animal. His phone hadn't stopped ringing. The videos were everywhere, news outlets, social media, trending hashtags demanding justice. His lawyer assured him they could spin the story, make it look like an accident. "You're a respected businessman," the lawyer said. "People forget fast." Adrian smirked, arrogance dripping from every pore. "I'll make a statement, donate to some charity, and this will blow over." No one ruins Adrian Blackwell. He didn't know that wheels of justice were already turning, faster than he could run. Eleanor pulled every string, summoned every contact, and by the time the sun dipped behind the city skyline, Adrian's empire was cracking. Accounts frozen, partnerships withdrawn, invitations cancelled. But this wasn't just about humiliation. This was about accountability. The police arrived at his door that night, sirens painting his luxurious walls in shades of blue and red. "Adrian Blackwell, you're under arrest for domestic violence and aggravated assault." He laughed at first, a cruel, mocking sound. "Do you know who I am?" The officer tightened the cuffs. "Yeah," he said, deadpan. "You're the guy who shoved his pregnant wife. Everyone knows who you are." As Adrian was led out in handcuffs, flashes exploded from cameras, reporters shouting questions like vultures circling fresh meat. For the first time, his perfect world wasn't just cracked, it was shattered. And waiting for him in the courtroom was the last person he expected. Not a prosecutor, not a stranger, his wife's mother. The woman who would make sure justice wasn't just served, it was carved into stone. The courtroom buzzed with energy, every seat filled with journalists, activists and spectators hungry for the fall of a man who thought he was untouchable. Adrian strutted in, still clinging to fragments of arrogance, dressed in a custom suit that screamed defiance. He scanned the room, smirking at the cameras, until his gaze landed on the bench and his smile froze. Sitting there, robed in black, gavel in hand, was Judge Eleanor Hayes. His smirk crumbled into something else, fear. Eleanor's eyes locked on him, unflinching, unyielding. "Mr. Blackwell," she began, her voice echoing through the chamber, "you stand accused of aggravated assault on a pregnant woman, your wife." Each word landed like a hammer. Adrian's lawyer leapt to his feet, shouting objections, demanding her recusal, but Eleanor didn't flinch. "This court will proceed," she said firmly. "Justice cannot be delayed because a man believes wealth places him above the law." Sophia sat quietly in the witness box, her hands trembling as she recounted the night that changed everything. The videos were played, the gasps from the jury filling the room like thunder. Adrian's lawyer tried every trick, painting Sophia as emotional, exaggerating. But the evidence was iron. The internet had already tried and convicted him, but Eleanor would make sure the law did too. As the trial unfolded, Adrian's empire collapsed in real time. Former partners testified against him, old scandals resurfaced. It was as if the universe itself had chosen this moment to strip him bare. And when the time came for sentencing, Eleanor's voice carried the weight of every battered woman who had ever been silenced. "This court finds you guilty," she declared, her tone like a blade. "You will serve 10 years in state prison without the possibility of early release. May this serve as a reminder that justice does not bow to wealth, nor does it tremble before power." The gavel came down like a final judgment from the heavens. Adrian stood there, pale and shaking, his arrogance dissolved into nothingness. Cameras captured every second as he was led away, chains replacing the cufflinks he once flaunted. The world watched as the mighty fell. Outside the courthouse, Sophia stepped into the sunlight, her mother by her side, her hand resting protectively over her belly. Reporters swarmed, questions flying like arrows, but Eleanor shielded her daughter, her voice steady as stone. "This isn't just my victory," she told the cameras. "It's a victory for every woman who's been told to stay silent. No one, no matter how rich, how powerful, is above the law." Sophia smiled for the first time in months, tears glistening in her eyes. She had lost a husband but gained something far greater: freedom, safety, and the unwavering love of a mother who refused to let her break. And as the city moved on to its next scandal, one truth remained carved in history: when you harm a woman, especially one with a mother like Judge Eleanor Hayes, justice will find you, and it will not whisper, it will roar.